Hello and welcome to my first retail World of Warcraft video in a while. That's right, a retail video. If you're only interested in Classic, this is honestly a video you won't need to watch, but it is a series I wanted to make to help retail players prepare for Shadowlands. Basically, my vision right now is to upload 2 Classic WoW videos per week on Monday and Friday, and I also want to add in 1 retail video per week on Wednesdays as a bonus video, and I want to do this to help goldmakers in retail prepare for Shadowlands. This video is the first of many in a series I have chosen to call The Road to Longboi, where I cover different methods of making gold in BFA to obtain the 5 million gold needed for that Longboi auction house mount. I will stick to 1 category of gold making or 1 method of gold making per video, in the hopes that you can find a video you like, and then you can use it as a guide to make gold, and if you get bored of that way of making gold, you can check out a different video in the series, and hopefully that will revive your motivation to keep you going. If you do want a further insight into gold making, I would recommend you check out my Patreon, through the link in the description, as I will post some extra Shadowlands preparation over there, as well as some guides on how to make as much gold as possible in Shadowlands as well once I get into the alpha or beta and can do some testing. So what are we covering in this video? In this video we will cover the method that has made me the most gold in BFA so far, and it has made me over 15 million gold to this day, which is roughly 60% of what I've made in BFA so far. That might not be a massive number for all of you, but considering I have been playing BFA on and off due to it's not really been my type of expansion, I'm quite happy with it, and it is definitely enough gold to buy the Longboi. This gold making method is what I've chosen to call the 2x4 gold farming method, which is basically where you farm something in 2 groups of 4 people. More specifically, you farm BFA mobs for material, greens and mounts. And why do you do this in 2 groups of 4 instead of 1 group of 5? As 2 groups of 4 you're 8 people, and as long as 1 person from both groups tags all of the mobs, all 8 of you can loot all of the mobs. You can basically look at it like this. A mob has 5 shards of loot. A group of 4 will take up 4 of those shards, allowing the 5th shard to be collected or picked up by a different group which can be up to the same size as the original group picking up the first shards, meaning the second group will pick up the 5th shard of loot. The 5th shard of loot will also yield the same amount of loot as all of the other 4 shards combined, so the group picking up the 5th shard of loot isn't losing out on any drops. Don't worry about that. Basically 2x4 farming. The way this works is you need to have 1 monk that can place his statue in the middle to gather up the mobs. From there you have 7 spots you can fill up like you want, but you do ideally want as many ranged pullers as possible, as you want to consistently pull and kill mobs. My personal preference is inviting as many mages, boomkins, warlocks and shadow priests as possible, as they can both pull and do AoE damage at the same time. You have multiple places you can farm, but many of them have been nerfed throughout BFA because they were too good. So the 2 places I choose to farm this in is Vol'dun and Stormsong Valley, because you can obtain a mount from both of these locations. When it comes to what you're looking for from this farm, it's Tidespray Linen, Deep Sea Satin, random green items, epics and mounts. You'll want to farm this on a tailor with synchronous thread, which is the item you obtain from the Tools of the Trade questline as a tailor, to obtain twice as many Tidespray Linen and Deep Sea Satin as you otherwise would. The green items you can either sell to a vendor, disenchant or scrap. My personal preference is sending them to my leather worker to scrap them, which I'll get into later in this video. Epics are kinda worthless at this point because they are only 350 item level, but some of them can be cool looking transmogs. But the mounts are the big jackpot items here, as they usually sell for anywhere from 80k to 300k each, depending on your server. Okay, so let's look at what I do with the greens I send to my leather worker. You'll want to scrap these at the scrapper to obtain materials and expulsum. Expulsum is the main reason for doing this. You could also vendor the greens if you don't want or don't need the expulsum, and if you really want to optimize, you might want to vendor the greens above 60 gold and scrap the ones under 60 gold. Then you'll sell the materials from scrapping on the auction house and use the expulsum you get to craft 400 item level uncanny gear. People buy this to quickly gear their alts, and now with the 100% bonus experience while leveling, more people are leveling alts and are willing to spend some gold to gear up quickly. The reason I send the greens to my leather worker instead of just scrapping it on my tailor is that I want to split my uncanny gear into both cloth and leather, so I can sell it faster, and I will get more than enough expulsum from scrapping bracers on my tailor, which I'll show you now. So all that tide spray linen you obtain from the farm you'll use to make tide spray linen bracers, which is a green bracer that has a chance to proc blue rarity as well. The blue bracers you'll send to an enchanter to disenchant, and the green bracers you'll scrap to obtain some expulsum. You'll then use that expulsum to craft 400 item level uncanny gear from tailoring, and sell that on the auction house as well. The blue bracers you send to your enchanter will be disenchanted, but first make sure you have Ivan's enchanting rod, which is the tools of the trade item for enchanters, which lets you obtain a lot of extra materials when disenchanting. Basically, it will more than double your profit if you have the tools of the trade. You'll then disenchant the bracers, and you'll obtain a lot of veiled crystals and umbra shards, which you'll sell on the auction house. You'll get some dust as well, which you can also sell. So, the very basics of this farm is you kill mobs, you get cloth. You get greens, you craft greens, you scrap greens. You disenchant blues, you use the expulsum from scrapping to craft gear, and you sell that gear. So you will get a lot of consistent gold from this farm, because of the disenchanting material you will sell, plus a couple of thousand gold every time you sell a piece of crafted gear as well. On top of this, you also have the mounts I mentioned earlier, which adds a decent amount of gold onto these farms, and considering these farms will be way less lucrative in future expansions, those mounts might also be worth more in later expansions. For me, this has always been the go-to gold farm because of how simple it is, and once you get going it's easy to spend hours of farming and completely lose track of time. Assuming you bring people with portable mailbox through engineering or Katie Stampwhistle's toy, you can pretty much stay here forever and never have to take a break. If you're the monk, you can also pretty much AFK and just spam one button to heal your own statue, which is very relaxing, and you can effectively do it while multitasking. Actually, no matter what role you play for this farm, you can farm gold this way while watching YouTube, Twitch, Netflix, or while smashing that like button, as even if you're a DPS and you're pulling, you can easily make a target macro and run in circles while doing something else, which is why I've enjoyed this farm a lot in BFA, even if I haven't enjoyed the expansion itself, because I don't feel like I'm actually playing, yet I'm being very effective and I love gold making, so it's always been my favorite way to make gold. And if we go back to the first couple of weeks of BFA, this was a 100k plus per hour gold farm, and in some locations it was even a 250k gold per hour gold farm, which was insane. But it did get nerfed quite often, and new locations had to be found all the time. The reason it was so good at launch was obviously because the epic 350 item level items were worth a lot more back then, the mounts were new and more expensive, and even the materials were more expensive as well. Plus expulsum was worth a lot more back then than it is right now, partially due to the knowledge of this farming method. But all this being said, it's still a 10 to 20 gold per hour gold farm, if you do it correctly and scrap items to obtain expulsum and craft gear. I mean, let's say the mounts are 100k on your server, which is way below the average price, and you get one mount per 10 hours, which is also way below the actual drop rate. You would make 10k gold per hour simply from the mount alone. Then add cloth and greens on top of that as well. It's honestly a very good gold farm, not the best one out there, but pretty good. And it does provide a nice mix of RNG and steady gold income, which I really like. And I do prefer this over a farm that completely relies on RNG, because that can feel so non-rewarding if you farm for hours and get nothing back from it. That being said, I am rambling on now, so I think it's time to end the video there. But before I go, I want to ask you this. Since this is supposed to be a video series, what do you want to see me make a video on next? Raw vendor gold farms, professional farming, or something else? Let me know in the comments down below. Massive shout out to my patrons for the support over there. It really means a lot and it helps me make content I want to make without having to rely too much on the YouTube ad revenue, which is at an all-time low right now. Honestly, thank you so much. I do hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you're only interested in Classic, but you still watched this entire video, I just want to say thank you once again. It does mean a lot to have this incredible community in Classic, and I'm hoping to help some of you in BFA and Shadowlands as well. With that being said, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.